Hello there, everyone, and welcome to the Doing What Matters podcast. I'm your host, Teresa McCloy, and I am thrilled today that you're listening in as we dive into discussions around life, business, and all the things that truly matter. We want to embrace a holistic approach to living that's rooted in rest, not rush. It's about connecting to our real self, our real life, our real work, and remembering who God uniquely created us to be, and redefining success through a different lens. Whether you're here to find inspiration, practical advice, or just a moment of connection, I'm glad you're here. And let's dive in to today's conversation. Well, you may notice that Erica is not on the podcast today. Erica is actually on vacation this week, and I am thrilled to death for her to take some time to step away and get a little bit of rest and renew and all the things. And hopefully, she's enjoying some great time away. Unfortunately, while Erica is out gallivanting the world, I have a little bit of a cold and I'm a little bit under the weather. So I apologize for my voice today on this episode. And I want you to know that it's going to be a pretty short episode because we are getting ready to kick off a new little short 4-week series next week. And I'm just going to take some time today to set up that series and introduce you a little bit to where we're going. I'm really excited about the next 4 episodes and what Erica and I are going to do here on the podcast. We do this every so often because we're always learning and growing as well. And so, what we're going to do over the next 4 weeks is really walk through the real life process. I have never done this in 4 episodes with Erica and gone through all 4 components. I think it's a really good time to just take a little bit of pause and say, you can start over. Yes, the year is 3 months in, but you can do a reset, dive into this content, dive into these components of the real life process, and create this rule of life that you would like to have. It's not too late just because the year is already started. It's one of the things I love about the process that I've created is that you literally can restart the process anytime you want. Every 90 days or so, you get up on the balcony and restart the process. I think that's why it's worked for me for almost 10 years now to live through this rule of life process is because I can restart it all the time. One of the things that got me excited about doing this with Erica over the next 4 weeks is also something that we have done inside of our new practice membership. So we have a membership called the Real Life Practice Membership. And this is for people just wanting to grow in their personal development, their spiritual development. They're not all people in helping professions. They're not coaches, they're not all spiritual directors. They're just everyday ordinary people wanting to grow together and find other people that are on this journey. And so we use spiritual practices as the foundational work. We use things like the process, our One Life maps, tools and mental models and spiritual practices to all come together in community. We're also reading a book inside of that membership, Practicing the Way by John Mark Comer. So, unlike this podcast that focuses more on what we're doing, the work that we're doing out in the world, and those types of things, this membership focuses more on your being. Inside that membership, one of the things we're doing 2 or 3 times a year is walking people through the process, all 4 components in 4 weeks. We just finished that last Tuesday, and it was so much fun. It really took me back to my roots of why I do the work that I do is to really help people live from a place of rest, not rush. So this little group of people, we went through the process together in 4 weeks. We had great discussion. It was a live call, and those people walked away with some great takeaways. Now, did we go deep, deep into every aspect? of the real life process? No, we did not, nor did we need to, because this process is actually a living, breathing rule of life process that moves with you as you are ready. And it is a framework to help introduce you to this idea of I can go deeper every time I do this. I can go deeper when I have space and time. I can go deeper when I need to do some real discernment around some certain things. But if I just want to do the process and learn the four components and start to have some takeaways on stewarding my time differently, on deciding what are the big rocks, the areas of focus in my life that matter, on recognizing my needs and values, on beginning to recognize my talents, my gifts, and my abilities. Those are all things that are part of the process. One of the best things I always love when I walk people through the process, like we just did, is when people recognize how much relationships matter in their lives and how much relationships form their life in the season that they're in. So, that is what we're going to do right here on the podcast over the next 4 weeks. Here's some ways that you can take action so that you're ready to engage next week when Erica and I are both on and we start in this very first component, real life being. Then we'll go to the second component, real life action, the third component, real life time, and the last component, real life living. How do I sustain it all once I have it down? As we walk through those four components, here's some things you can do. The first thing you can do is go to thereallifeprocess.com/book resources. And there's two things I'd love to encourage you to do from there. One is scroll down just a little bit on that page, thereallifeprocess.com/book resources, and download the complete real life resource packet. The second thing is on that same page, the book resources page, I want you to click on the video that's up at the top called Rested Success. This is about a 15-minute documentary that we made when the book came out, Do What Matters, that I wrote back in 2022. This is a great place for you to hear from some other people that are using the real life process in the work that they do and just hear some stories, hear from myself, get a little bit of the backstory of the process itself. So, two things. Go to the reallifeprocess.com book resources, watch the video at the top, and download the packet that goes with it at the bottom. The third thing I want you to do is make sure that you're following the podcast, that you have subscribed to the podcast so that it'll be in your podcast player and you won't miss an episode of the next 4 weeks. One thing I've learned recently is that if you haven't listened to the podcast for a while, it will stop sending it to you, even if you're following it. It will stop downloading automatically. So you might want to go back and click follow again on your favorite podcast player and make sure that you don't miss out on the next 4 weeks. Listen along while you're driving in your car, while you're working out. We're going to keep these episodes probably under 30 minutes or less so that you can take in the content and just really think about how do I want to get back up on the balcony of my life? How do I want to live a little bit differently than maybe I lived in 2024? Doesn't have to be major changes, but small steps over time make all the difference. I myself have to do this all the time. I have to get back up on the balcony and say, what matters to me? What really aligns with the way that I want to live the life that God has created for me to live? So I can't wait for this journey. Erica will be back next week, and it's going to be great to hear from her. Her and I are wired totally differently, and we use the process totally differently. That's why I love that it's called the real life process, because even the way Erica shares it, her insights into it are different than mine. She's been with me for years. So she has her own unique insights and language and way of looking at it that are different than mine. So I'm excited. We'll see you right back here next week, ready to dive in for 4 weeks of the process all together, as live as we can get it, unless I was sitting in the room with you. And I will say this, if you wanna sit in the room, come and join our practice membership. Come and be a part of it. I would love to be in the room with you. I would love to get to know you. You can go to therealifeprocess.com and check that out. You can scroll down, click on the membership, join our free community that's absolutely free. Let's engage together in some way, even as we're going through these next 4 weeks. Let's have some conversation and let's be together. And remember, as you're going through this week, this day, that every day has an extraordinary moment. You just have to look for them. So keep your eyes wide open, friends, as you walk this journey. And we'll be back next week with Erica, back with us for more from the Doing What Matters podcast.